I decided to cover all of the Chiyoda bosses at the same time just because I think two of them are pretty easy and simple enough, and I also didn't want to have any titles or thumbnail spoilers, and I figure since we're getting to that part of the game, it's probably best to do that. So as far as preparation before the first fight, I have a few changes here. I've got Ice and Black Draco Strike from Black Frost as Essence, and I also have Endure. Endure is the major change here. That gives me a chance to live any attack at 1 HP once per battle, and that is really, really useful. Not even just a chance, it's guaranteed. And that's a very, very useful ability. I also have Aiden, who is really powerful as a demon. Moderate HP recovery all allows, raises all stats by 1. Golden Apple, her special move. Probably one of the strongest, probably the strongest buff move in the entire game. I guess there's one technically stronger, but it's on a demon who doesn't reach her potential, I feel. So that's incredibly useful to be able to get a heal and buff everyone's stats in the party all at once. I also have Black Frost, who comes with attack down on all enemies and attack up on all allies, along with some decently powerful ice abilities and also Black Draco Strike of his own. And the final main demon I'll be using for this fight is Anubis, who has Donum Gladi, which increases physical attack potential. It's basically charge, except you can use it on anyone. And also has pretty good light and dark spells and a good magic stat, and some other useful things in his toolkit. It's worth mentioning that Black Frost is a fused Black Frost, so he has better stats than one you might get from doing that quest in the region. So keep that in mind. I think fusing him is probably the way to go, since you can get the fusion stat bonuses and everything. So here's the fight. Yakumo. I like opening up with Pierce Armor just to lower his defense. He resists physical attacks, so that's something to keep in mind. That's another reason the elemental attacks are good, as far as the Draco Strikes, for this fight specifically at least. I lower his attack as soon as possible. I hit him with a dark move, which is he's weak to, just to give myself an extra press turn bonus so I can lower his defense one more time. And then with Aiden, I'm going to just pass back to Black Frost and lower his attack again. I don't want to use Golden Apple just yet, just because it costs a lot of MP. So I want to just lower his attack first things before getting into that part of the thing, and I want to make sure I get my Magatsuhi gauge charged up before really unloading on him when he has lowest defense possible, and my allies are all buffed to have the maximum attack possible. I'm also going to be using this ability, the Bowl of Hygia, I believe it is. That's going to give us an overheal effect, also increase the effects of the healing spell, and also give us extra health on top of our maximum health. It can be useful for some of his stronger attacks to just make sure we're going to live. He is pretty high attack power, and we're just like to be as safe as possible. So I use Golden Apple now, and I also use Black Frost to give us heightened attack as well, so we're at maximum attack now. So since he's weak to Dark, Black Draco Strike on myself, Black Frost, and Anubis, I guess not him, not technically myself, will all hit super effectively on him. And Aiden's really good for getting powerful. I don't know if it's Eden or Aiden, so I apologize if I'm offending anyone with my pronunciation. I really don't know how to pronounce like half the demons in this game. Someone was complaining about that last time. Out of all the boss fights in this region, I do feel like this one is the hardest one, just because of how hard he hits, his resistance to physical attacks, and just a few limited options that you're going to have for this fight. It is worth noting you can use Dark Shards and Dark Gems on him with Aiden here, just for the extra weakness attack, even though she doesn't have any dark damage spells for me like the other 3 members of my party currently do right now. So ideally the strategy in this fight is just keep his attack and defense as low as possible, keep your own attack and defense pretty high, as high as possible with Golden Apple if you crafted Aiden, and I think you really definitely should. I feel like she's just super, super good for a majority of the game. Anubis provides some good support spells and has good dark damage on his own. And that allows you to get a lot of benefit out of many of these abilities. So my Magatsuhi gauge is almost charged up, and once it's charged up, I'll be trying to get as much damage as I possibly can on one round of the fight against him. I use Golden Apple one more time here to just buff up my stats entirely now, so we're good to go on that front. Looks like I'm carefully considering what to do with Black Frost. Sorry, I should probably cut out some of these turns that take a while. I just don't remember them. I apologize for being incredibly indecisive on this turn. So, I just go with the just general weakness attack, just get some extra damage out on him. He buffs his own attack, but he's still going to be low on attack. He's using his own Magatsuhi gauge now, so that might be an issue. That could be pretty scary. Fortunately, he seems like another one of those enemies that's like uses a scripted attack after activating his Magatsuhi gauge. He always seems to use Mazionga, so having electric dampeners is pretty much all you need to worry about here. So I go ahead and activate my own gauge because I'm not really worried about that at all. So I'm just going to go in and try to hit him as hard as possible this turn. I'm going to use Dark Gems with Aiden, who doesn't have a Dark attack. And just try to do as much damage with Nahabino, Black Frost, and have Anubis use Donum Gladi on Nahabino to get extra damage there as well. Looks like I was briefly considering lowering his attack with Black Frost there, but I decided against it. I'm nearly certain I can just go for the free damage Black Draco Strike, 355 more damage now. So this is going to put him under half HP, so we're going to be in a pretty good spot after this. I get 548 with the Donum Gladi weakness strike there. My MP is running a little bit low at this point as well, though, so that is something to keep in mind. I think I used some Chakra Pots just to make sure I can get through this fight. Like I said, I think this one was probably the hardest of the fights in this chapter, at least. It took me the longest, at least, and I died a couple times doing this one compared to the other fights, I believe, before I came up with a decent strategy here. I don't think I died at all on the others, even without having information. Actually, I did the second one. I think I did one time just because I needed to change my weaknesses on Nahabino. So yes, Mazionga. So Elect Dampener is pretty much the easy choice there to make sure he's not going to do anything if he does that. And now at this point, I'm going to reapply the weakness, the nerfs to him and buffs to myself, just to make sure we don't have to worry about that too much. I am low on MP for Aiden here. So I ended up using a Spirit Drain gem because I thought I could get over 107 again, but unfortunately I was unable to. So I just decided to just raise the attack of everyone in my party with Black Frost before he runs out of MP, and then I'm going to swap him out after that, if I remember correctly, just to someone that can help in the rest of this fight. I believe I swapped to Yoshitsune, who is mostly physical. I think I only had physical attacks on him, but he did provide some good support effects, if nothing else. And he also resists physical, so he can be pretty tanky in this fight since he uses... Yakumo uses mostly physical attacks outside of the turns he uses Magatsuhi gauge. Fortunately, with the increased evasion there, I also am able to get some people to evade that attack, so I don't have to worry about a second attack there, despite that one kind of hurting a bit. I go for the Black Draco Strike just to hit the weakness. He's in red health at this point, so we're really, really close to finishing him off at this point. So at this point, it looks like I'm just thinking about what to do. I use a Spirit Drain gem, again, just to be safe. I'm like, I'll just buff myself and heal myself, because I feel like that's probably the safe thing to do. And then I change to Yoshitsune, who is just going to be pretty tanky at this point. Or do I? Okay, I use a Fizz Dampener with Black Frost. I'm nearly certain I did swap to Yoshitsune at one point. I guess it's next turn. I use Madoon with Anubis. It looks like I was just playing it really safe here, more than anything. I use Pierce Armor just to make sure his defense is going to stay lowered. At this point, I don't have attack down on him, and I don't have defense up on myself, so now his physical attacks are extremely dangerous, and that's why I decided to go with the Fizz Dampener there. And then he uses something I did not expect him to do, Dekaja, which has got rid of all of my stat buffs. So that's unfortunate. I ended up wasting a physical dampener there, unfortunately. I am completely out of MP on Nahabino at this point. So this is the real issue with this fight, I feel like. It's just, you have to use a lot of resources at this point. I try using a Dark Shard just because I'm like, okay, I'll just get the extra Tress turn, and then of course I miss that, because I no longer have the evasion and accuracy buff. And I use a Dark Gem with Aiden. And I think I use an Elect Dampener just to make sure I don't die to the Mazionga. Like, I'm not really worried about dying at this point, I'm just kind of annoyed. And then I miss another Mudon. So yeah, he's being annoying now. That's another reason the Golden Apple's really good in this fight, because he seems to have a lot of evasion otherwise, which can be really annoying to deal with. That time the Dark Shard hits, so I can at least get an extra press turn. I use Dark Gem with Iden here to make sure we have that extra heavy damage on the Dark attack. And now I swap to Yoshitsune just for the safety for someone who can resist physical attacks, since I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to finish him off this turn or not. I'm going to have Magatsuhi gauge next turn, so I will definitely be able to finish him off next turn no matter what, thankfully. But it looks like he will be able to survive this turn. Like I said, I think this is the hardest fight of the ones in this area. But not too concerned with it. I use Dark Shards with Nahabino just because that gives me extra press turns, and they're actually in the shop currently. The gems get sold in the shop later, but they're not currently in the shop, so they're a bit more precious, and I want to use my magic attackers to attack with them. I use Pierce Armor just to make sure his defense stays down for the final turn here. I actually don't even look like I need Magatsuhi, so I'd probably save it if I know myself. Anubis ends up dying. Iden barely lives. Endure comes in clutch to make sure I can survive. That is one of the reasons I had it. And now at this point, okay, I use it for safety because I'm like, okay, I cannot risk dying here. So I go ahead and just go for a normal attack. Or do I? Oh, Aramasa. Even with the resistance, it's guaranteed to crit on this turn. So we get the crits just to make sure I get the extra press turn. Dark Gem, I think, will kill here. I'm going with something else, though. Just to probably save my Dark Gems. That makes sense. Okay. Let's go for the light attack. Ends up killing. And able to finish that fight off. So the next fight is against, is it Surt? Surtur? I don't remember. It's some big fire dude. My preparation for this fight was, I'm going to have Yoshitsune in for the entire fight this time over Anubis. Because Yoshitsune is a really powerful physical attacker, has a really broken unique skill, I feel like, that has guaranteed crits and does a lot of damage overall. So I feel like he's one of the best people you can have at this point. I've got basically the same setup on Nahabino, except I have a new skill now, Wrath Tempest, which does 8 attacks to random foes or all the same foe if it's only one enemy, and does more damage when you get crits. So really good with Magatsuhi gauge. And it's a unique ability that you can get from one of the essences you can find in the region. So I definitely applied that as soon as possible. I still have Iden because Iden is just really good, and Golden Apple is just a really powerful ability, so I feel like that's just an optimal choice there, just to make sure I can have my buffs as much as possible. Like I said, I have Yoshitsune now, who has Haso Tobi, I don't know how to pronounce that, but a really broken ability. Always lands critical hits, 8 weak physical attacks. I have Charge on him, just for extra damage from that. Beast Eye for extra accuracy. And then some other general physical attacks. And Pierce Armor to lower his defense. So, that's what I have on that. Black Frost is still in for his ability to lower enemy attack and raise ally attack. And also just because the next enemy is weak to ice, so Ice Draco Strike is also going to be pretty powerful there with the Ice Pleroma. So, this is the general team set I have going for that. Not too much different than the last fight. And it's not going to be any different for the third fight either, just because I think this team works pretty well for this point in the game. Fire Dampeners are your best friend in this fight. This enemy is a heavy fire and physical attacker. So fire is definitely what you want to do. Let's see, what is this dude's name? I'm actually curious at this point. Okay, yeah, I lower his defense first round. He has counters, so that's something to keep in mind about your physical attacks. He can counter your attacks if you do physical damage to him. So that is something that you might want to use more magic attackers that have ice moves instead. However, I like to play on edge and be risky, you know how that works, so... I go ahead and I'm not that worried about it. Yoshitsune also has resistant physical attacks, so the counter's not going to do all that much to him. So it is Surt. It looks like it is Surt. Okay. That's what I thought. He ends up getting a crit counter there, which was a little unfortunate. So it looks like I probably just heal Black Frost out of the interest of safety. Because I'm not too worried about what happens the rest of this turn. Miragi's not a big deal because I changed my essence to have Nahabino immune to fire, so that'll only give him one turn there. Black Frost resist fire, so he wasn't really in any danger. Unlike Jack Frost and King Frost, the resistance to fire is actually really useful. Now at this point I go for Aramasa over Wrath Tempest just to save some MP and try to fish for the critical hit there, which I end up getting. I unfortunately have to use Endure really early on in this fight because of that counter, which that's really unlucky that he counter-attacked me 2 times in a row. Actually more like 3 times because he countered Black Frost as well. But I get the Golden Apple off, and they got the overheal, so we're more prepared for the rest of this fight. I go ahead and go for the guaranteed crits here, just because I want to get the extra press turn guaranteed. He misses the counter there. I wouldn't have done that much anyway, because Yoshitsune does resist physical, like I said. I use Mabu Follow because at this point I'm like, okay, I'm a little worried that he's going to keep countering, so using the magic attack is just a little bit safer at this point in time. I'm going to save the other stuff for the guaranteed crit turn. He really likes countering me. I did not think the counter had this high of an activation rate. I don't think it really should, because most enemies that have counters don't activate it nearly this often, but, you know, sometimes that's just the way the world works. I go for the second Golden Apple at this point just to get my maximum attack, because I can go in for the powerful Magatsuhi crit turn here in just a second. I even use Charge on Yoshitsune to prepare for that. And I lower his attack one more time just in the interest of safety, in case he gets some more counters next turn or anything. The Heat Wave hurts a little bit there, and he gets another attack on Black Frost, but thanks to the overheal I had, that doesn't actually do all that much to me. Another benefit of Golden Apple. And the healing charge move that's new in this game. At this point, I go for Wrath Tempest. Ice Draco Strike would hit the weakness, but Wrath Tempest is going to do a lot more damage, just in general. I watched the animation because it's sick. Looks really cool. And this does more damage with critical hits. So you're going to see I do like almost 800 damage there, because that's almost 100 damage each on the 8 hits. So that's pretty dang good. Not bad at all, for sure. I use Hamon, which is Iden's most powerful attack. Then I go in for the 8 crits with Yoshitsune as well, who does even more damage than Nahabino does because of the charge. Nahabino would do more if he had charge. I don't have charge on him right now, because I'm getting to the point where I can start using Donum Gladi to give him charge if I need to. Just not in this fight. He's not in this fight, or anyone with Donum Gladi's in this fight, but I wasn't that concerned with it. The Wrath Tempest still hurts plenty without that, thankfully. Go in for another Hamon. So Surt's now like well under half HP at this point. We can do a lot of damage to him. I use the Pierce Armor there just to make sure his defense down lasts another turn. Ice Draco Strike for another 470 damage. He finally actually counters now. He did not counter like much that entire turn, so I don't know why I was getting so many counters early on in the fight, but now at this point, he's at a point where he's not going to be doing all that much else. I think he's in red health, or he's very close. Yeah, he's in red health. So I can go for the fight end here, not have to really concern myself with the press turn, or with the Magatsuhi enemy turn. Just because at this point I'm thinking, well, if I can just kill him here before my buffs expire and everything, and then of course I miss my attack, so that ends up being really bad. That was very, very unlucky. But I decided to still go in with the press turn with, to get the press turn with Black Frost. If I didn't miss that attack, it would have been like a guaranteed kill here. But unfortunately, because I did miss, I decided, okay, I'm just going to play it safe and use the Fire Dampener, because I can still end it next turn because of how much little health he actually has. Yoshitsune missing there with Beast Eye and having increased evasion, or increased accuracy by 2 stages, I do not know how that happened. That's just incredibly unlucky. But doesn't really matter that much. I can still finish him off this turn. Not a huge deal. Iden's completely out of MP at this point as well. Actually get the hit that time, and that's going to kill. Yeah. Should have easily killed last turn, but that miss just ruined a lot of things with that fight. But not a huge deal. That fight's not too bad overall, as long as you're prepared for it. And then the final fight is actually the easiest one, because before the fight you have the ability to go activate or deactivate these machines around the map that are the source of the next enemy's power, and if you deactivate them, the fight is a complete joke. I use basically the same team for it, same general like strategy of everything, and I come in with mostly maxed Magatsuhi gauge this time to make sure I can use that. whenever I need to. And I think I end the fight in like 4 minutes. It's really, really simple. Not much has really changed in the moveset. Everything's about the same here. And we can use basically the same general strategy you just saw to just go ham on Ishtar as well, the next boss fight. That's what I choose to do. I destroyed all the machines, and if you do that, she says she's got no more Magatsuhi, and yeah, she's really powerless. Her strongest move she can't even use. I don't know what it does, because I did not do this fight. This is my actual first attempt doing this fight. I was like, okay, special music's playing. This has to be a tough fight. But, so I even use a spyglass to see her weakness in this phase, and it doesn't even matter, because I'm just so strong at this point, and she's so weak, I was able to end it first try with, like, literally 0 issues at all. I do not know how much harder this fight would be if you don't destroy all the machines. I will assume it would be quite a bit more difficult, especially if you leave all the machines intact, if you're, like, trying to speed through everything. But if you destroy all the machines, this fight is a complete choke, and pretty much not worth worrying about. I lower her attack because I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to see what happens. Dreadful Gleam, this is the attack that she somehow can't activate at all. I'm like, okay, wow, this fight is a complete joke. So now that I realize that, I'm like, okay, well, I'll just charge up my buffs and then just get ready to kill her next turn, or get close to killing her. I don't know what I'm hesitating for. I just go for the guaranteed press turn, it looks like, with a Black Jericho Strike. Then I just straight up use Golden Apple even without taking any damage, just for the buffs. I use Charge with Yoshitsune, and I have Black Frost raise the attack of all allies. So we've got maximum attack, and she has minimum defense at this point now. And I just go for a Wrath Tempest just really quickly, see if I can get an extra turn in. Unfortunately, I could not, because no crits. That's not a big deal. So she goes for the Zeodyne, didn't even hit him, and even if she did hit him, he has Resist Electric, so it wouldn't have done anything. So, at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to activate and just do what I can now. So after activating that, I can just go for really powerful White Wrath Tempest, which does over 800 even without charge. I can have Aiden use Zanma, which hits her weakness for another 400. I can use Yoshitsune's powerful attack to get a bunch of damage. I can't calculate the exact number in my head right now, but that looks like a bunch. Black Draco Strike. She's already under half health, so you can see how easy this fight is overall. Like, I'm not even worried about, like, reapplying buffs. I'm just like, I'm just getting as much damage as possible, because I'm probably in this, like, very shortly after this. Okay, no, I go for the Pierce Armor. Okay, I was like, okay, I'll just play it safe. I probably didn't have to do that. She's already in red health, but I'm nearly certain the turn after this, she'll just be dead. She does hit my weakness, and even gets the instant kill effect. That was actually a little scary, but she doesn't double target me. So I'm still not worried about it. I'm like, okay, I'll just kill her this turn, and I think that's what I end up doing. If I was really concerned about the Yakumo tag, I could have changed my affinities on Nahabino as well, so the only reason I didn't is because it was my first time doing the fight. I didn't know what she was going to do. But you can see the fight ended up being a joke anyway. That's really all there is to it. Cool regions. Next video, I'll probably cover the boss fights in the dungeon area after this, so look forward to that. And thanks for watching, and have a wonderful and a blessed day. I will see you soon. I have some other guides planned. I might release them first, so look forward to that. Have a great day.